Whenever history talks about the 24th of August, 79 AD, it always tells the exact same story. The story of Pompeii. A city buried in millions of tons of ash. Its people frozen in agony, suffocating slowly in the dark. It is the most famous disaster of the ancient world. But for decades, archaeologists working just 10 miles away from Pompeii kept finding something they couldn't explain. Skeletons that didn't look like the ones in Pompeii. And inside the skulls of these victims was a strange, glossy material. It looked like shattered black glass. For years, nobody knew what it was, until modern forensic testing revealed a truth so brutal, it changed everything we knew about the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. That black glass was human brain tissue. This didn't happen in Pompeii. It happened in a city where the victims didn't slowly suffocate. They were hit by a heat so extreme, their blood instantly boiled, and their brains literally turned to glass. They told you Pompeii was the worst fate a Roman could suffer. They lied. Welcome to Herculaneum.
To understand why the tragedy of Herculaneum is so much darker than Pompeii, you have to understand who lived there. If Pompeii was the loud, dirty, industrial center of the region, Herculaneum was Beverly Hills. It was a seaside resort for the ultra-rich. The father-in-law of Julius Caesar owned a massive estate here. The streets had advanced drainage systems. The houses were covered in priceless mosaics and bronze statues. The people here were the masters of the universe, surrounded by luxury, protected by wealth. And to them, the large green mountain looming in the distance was just a beautiful backdrop. They didn't even have a word for volcano. Nothing in their perfect lives suggested that their world was about to end. Until 1 in the afternoon. At 1 p.m., the mountain tore itself apart. A massive column of pumice and ash shot 20 miles straight up into the stratosphere. The apocalypse had begun. But down in Herculaneum, nothing happened. Why didn't they run immediately? The answer lies in the wind. High in the atmosphere, strong winds were blowing toward the southeast, pushing millions of tons of deadly ash directly onto Pompeii. For the first 12 hours of the eruption, the sky over Herculaneum was relatively clear. They could see the terrifying dark cloud. They could hear the deafening roar. But they weren't choking. Human psychology is a dangerous thing. When you are standing in a luxurious villa and the danger seems to be hitting someone else, you hesitate. You assume you are safe. But the elite of Herculaneum were living on borrowed time. Because what they didn't know was that a rescue mission was already failing. Across the Bay of Naples, the commander of the Roman fleet had launched a massive evacuation. Pliny the Elder ordered his warships toward the danger. But as his ships approached the coast, they hit a wall of floating pumice stones. The sea was boiling violently. Tsunamis pushed the ships away. Rescue from the sea was impossible. By evening, the people of Herculaneum finally realized their mistake. Earthquakes began shattering their marble floors. The roads inland were completely blocked by debris. They were trapped. total darkness consumed the city. Panic finally broke the illusion of safety. More than 300 people, men, women, children, and slaves, ran to the only place they thought they could survive: the massive stone boathouses carved into the cliffside on the beach.
They crowded into these dark, arched chambers, sitting shoulder to shoulder in the pitch black, listening to the roar of the mountain. When archaeologists excavated these boathouses, they didn't just find bones. They found stories. They found a woman they named the Ring Lady. She died clutching her purse, wearing 2 heavy gold rings set with emeralds, refusing to leave her wealth behind. A few feet away lay a Roman soldier. He died clutching his iron sword, wearing a money belt filled with gold coins. Beside them were mothers hugging their children, masters dying next to the slaves they once commanded. In the darkness of those stone chambers, wealth and status meant absolutely nothing. They were all staring out at the violent sea, waiting for a ship. But what arrived was a wall of fire.
Shortly after midnight, the towering column of ash above the volcano could no longer support its own weight. It collapsed. Millions of tons of superheated gas, ash, and rock crashed back down to Earth. This is called a pyroclastic surge. It didn't fall like rain. It cascaded down the slopes of Vesuvius, moving at over 100 miles per hour. A glowing red avalanche of death. It swallowed the marble villas. It destroyed the ancient library. And it was heading straight for the beach of Herculaneum. The people in the boathouses never even saw it coming. In Pompeii, death took hours. Here, it took a fraction of a second. When the surge hit the boathouses, the temperature inside the stone chambers spiked to 500 degrees Celsius, over 900 degrees Fahrenheit. The soft tissues of their bodies instantly vaporized. Their muscles contracted so violently, their bones twisted into unnatural shapes. The heat was so incomprehensible, it evaporated the fluid in their skulls. Their brains boiled and literally turned to black glass. Science calls it vitrification. It happens when human tissue is exposed to extreme heat and rapid cooling. The only mercy in this absolute nightmare? The heat was so extreme, it destroyed their nervous systems before their brains could even register the pain. They were dead before they knew they were dying.
Today, Pompeii is famous because it was buried under loose ash. It was easy to dig away. But Herculaneum? The pyroclastic surges that hit the city cooled and hardened into a solid block of volcanic rock, 60 feet deep. The city wasn't just buried, it was hermetically sealed inside a concrete vault. A perfectly preserved nightmare, hiding the glass brains of the people who waited too long to run. It stands as a chilling reminder. History remembers the loudest disasters, but sometimes the most terrifying fates are the ones buried the deepest. If you want to uncover more of the history they tried to hide, subscribe to Enigmas Era. We'll see you in the dark.